Breaking news this evening, Steve Jobs resigning as Apple CEO. He sent a letter to the Apple Board of Directors saying that if he ever had a day when he could no longer meet his duties and expectations as Apple CEO, he'd be the first to let you know. Unfortunately, that day has come, so he resigned as chairman. We would like to serve as chairman of the board, director, and still an Apple employee. Tim Cook taking over as CEO. That already has been approved. Jobs is the chairman of the board. And joining us on America's Radio Newsline to talk about this fairly significant event in the world of business and tech, Carrie Harrison of GoHarrison.com, host of Think Green and Hollywood Tech. Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure, and you're so right, Jay. It not only affects America, it affects all of the earthlings that live on our orb. You know, Apple is the most ubiquitous brand. It is probably the most profitable other in human history than like ExxonMobil. You know, this thing is so huge and so global. It is an event so not to be dismissed. You're so right on.
Harrison, do you think this is going to doom Apple? I mean, Jobs is really the center of this, isn't he?
You know, it's interesting that you say that, Molly, because he is more than just a boss. He really is a perfect example of what we call an all-American visionary, right? Step by step, as the stock has incrementally gone up, right? Even when he was sick, it went up. But he has created something that nobody else has been able to duplicate. Yes, he's stepping away. Yes, Tim Cook takes over. But it looks like Steve Jobs will still be the, let's just refer to him as the grand consultant. There is no way his dream, his passion, his lifetime's work are going to be set aside. Not as long as he's still alive, even though he's recovering from pancreatic cancer.
Now, when was it that he stepped away? Was that like 10 years ago and the company, for lack of a better term, started going to hell in a handbasket?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, right?
Don't sugarcoat it there, Jay.
Well, it did.
Well, you're right. It did go to hell in a handbasket, and they were still just having something called a Macintosh computer, which 6 people in L.A. owned, right? And then slowly but surely, you know, they came out with iPods and all the rest of it. And for the first time in your life, and we remember maybe as kids walking around with Walkmans, you know, and little portable cassette players. Well, now you could actually use the Internet. You could actually have unlimited amounts of music, all in this way that now is cross-platform. And from then on, he decided to get into phones, which were not, phones are not profitable. But a phone that plays music is not a phone.
Well, these phones are not just, as you say, they're not just for music, they're cameras. I mean, pretty soon you can order a pizza on the things. I mean, pretty soon you can,
I've eaten a pizza on the thing.
you can program satellites from your iPhone now. I mean, what's going to happen to Apple now that he's taking a lesser role?
Well, I think we're going to see just as far as the value of Apple, because not everybody owns an iPod, not everyone owns an iPhone, but people do buy the stock because it's such a super performer. I think people are going to start buying the stuff starting tomorrow. I think it's going to do fine. Apple is the only true innovator. We take a look at Google, right? The #1 big player. They're just settling $12 billion with a B, $12 billion in patent settlements, right? They've just bought Motorola thinking that they want to get into the phone business. But you can't compete with the guy who actually knows how to tell the story best. And Apple, hands down, it's like putting German engineers together with, Italian clothing designers with, French cooks all in one room, and then having somebody in the corner who looks like a chihuahua saying, "Quick, sing."
But with Steve Jobs resigning or stepping down, I should say, what's going to happen? Because this would be my concern. I've wanted a Mac for a long time. I haven't bought one, on the verge of buying one. Is that something that people will still do, or is there concern without the puppet master in the middle of it, doing all the creating, setting up the stores the way they are, the great customer service that everybody loves? Without him at the helm, will all of that fall apart?
People are concerned, but we should remember that Steve Jobs personally picked Tim Cook, the former CEO, to take over, and now Steve Jobs is the CEO himself. So it's just a swap of titles, which takes a lot of pressure off a guy trying to recover from, a horrible illness. the Apple stores, if you go in today, and I was in there earlier just to check the pulse when you and I talked earlier today, and the stores are packed with people who seem almost oblivious to the fact that the head of the company has switched because the quality of the product will not be sacrificed. And I'm completely convinced there is no way Apple is going to suddenly become an Apple core or an Apple with a worm in it.
There you go. You heard it from Kerry Harrison from GoHarrison.com, host of Think Ring and Hollywood Tech. Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure, you guys.
Thanks, Harrison.